Hi, this is Sandman 99,
And I'm Rick 5
and we want to welcome you back to the Spectacle Island Gun Club and Shooting Range, where we're going to talk a little bit about flamers today. And anyone who has ever used a vanilla flamer will have noticed a couple of things about flamers.
And particularly their short range.
They're very short range, and they're also quite weak. So my character here is got 5 ranks in heavy gunner, and that 5 ranks in heavy gunner nets a total of 32 damage, energy damage,
Yeah.
with a fire rate of 90, which is not a especially fast fire rate either. Now we're going to test fire a number of flamers with different attachments. So first of all, we're going to fire flamers with the standard barrel as opposed to the extended barrel. And we're going to shoot with the normal flamer first.
Okay.
And just to show that you can in fact make marks on this wall with a flamer, we're going to do over here, and we'll be well within range. And we're just going to go like this, and you can see you get a little bit of lingering flame and some scorch marks on the wall.
Yep.
So what we're going to do, though, is we're going to start a little bit further away and then move closer so that we can demonstrate what exactly the range of one of these weapons is vanilla. So we're going to be at, say, 14. We'll go out here a little ways and just see. So, as you can see, no marks on the wall here.
Yep.
So we're going to go up to, say, 14 yards. All right. And again, no marks on the wall. This flamer, without the extended barrel, does not have enough range to actually burn one of these mannequins at 14 yards or 4 floor tiles away.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not sure exactly how close we have to be with the standard flamer with no modified barrel. We'll try, let's call this 12 yards.
Yep.
Okay, so at 12 yards, you can actually do some damage.
Looks like you have to be inside about 14 yards.
Yep. So now we're going to go with a compressed flamer, again with the standard barrel. And we'll move over a little bit, basically at the same range that the standard nozzle flamer was shooting at. And look at that. You can't reach that target with the compressed nozzle. So we'll go right to the front of this block, which I suppose would be, what, 9.5, roughly 10 yards?
Roughly 10 yards.
Still can't reach. So we're going to have to move right up to 7 yards. And in other discussions with this at this range, we know that this is basically point-blank range for any firearm. This is basically anything this close and closer, and you're involved in melee combat. Still can't reach. So, with the compression barrel on, which is not even the highest one, we'll go to like 5 yards now. Oh, there.
There you go.
So basically with the compression barrel, which boosts your damage a little bit, not very much, mind you, what is this one called? Compressed flamer. Okay, so we'll have a look at the damage caused by the compressed flamer, which is 39 as opposed to
32, I think it was.
32. So it's not really a huge jump in damage, but it basically cuts your range to less than half. So now we're going to switch to the vaporizing flamer. And we're going to just move in between these two statues because you can see the scorch marks on the wall, or you can't. And guess what? You can't reach from 5 yards. So now, how close do you have to be? Well, one block is 3.5 yards. So we're 3.5 yards away from this wall. Still can't reach.
Oh my god, that's dreadful.
Right? So now we're about
not 1.5 yards.
Yeah, but not around 1.5 yards. I could almost reach out and physically touch this wall. If I were swinging a pool cue or something like that, I could probably hit a target as far away as this wall. There. Now, that I find is objectionable, because it basically makes these weapons useless.
Yeah.
They do not very much damage. Okay, I had it there. Vaporizing Flamer. It boosts the damage up to 46.
Yep.
Okay. But it basically cuts the range down to the point where if you're trying to, like, burn up a enemy that has got a strong melee attack, they will kill you before you can actually kill them with this weapon. Right? It's just a simple, like, fact.
Yeah, it's just mathematics.
Yeah, so now we're going to go with the Flamer with the standard barrel, and we're going to put the standard nozzle, I should say, and we're going to put the long barrel on it. Okay, and in the weapon description on the workbench, they don't really explain what the long barrel does, but what we discovered through experimentation is that the extended barrel, okay, the long barrel, it just says in the description, gives extended reach. Well, what they mean by extended reach is... Okay, well, we can't reach from 14 yards. Okay? And so we'll try from, like, again, what we're saying is about 12 yards. So basically, when you're using the standard nozzle, it makes no difference whatsoever if you have the long barrel on or not.
That's right, yeah.
Because the long barrel basically sets the range to about 12 yards.
Yep. And you can look at that in the creation kit and that's exactly what it does.
Yeah. And now we're going to go with the compression nozzle. And again, you saw the rapid, drastic drop in range when we changed nozzles.
Yep.
Without the extended barrel. But the extended barrel actually sets the range to 12 yards. Regardless of what kind of nozzle you're running.
So it redundantly overwrites the range.
Yes. Now, if we go to the vaporizing nozzle, which before, remember, we had to actually be within touching range of the wall in order to be able to hit anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it now has a range of 12 yards as well. So basically, you have to put the long barrel on in order to get this much range with a flamer.
In order to have minimal usefulness.
So this weapon is not useful in vanilla Fallout 4. If you're up against any kind of enemy with a strong melee attack, like a super mutant with a, like some of the like heavier sledgehammers that they can get later in the game, or a death claw or something like that, they will kill you before you can do any kind of significant harm to them with this weapon. So we're going to pause briefly now and activate our mod, because we did a little bit of looking at this. Okay, we're back, and we have installed or activated our mod, which improves flamers a bit.
Yeah, we did a bit of research on flamethrowers in real life, looking at old U.S. military World War II footage with regards to flamethrowers and flamethrower operation and stuff like that. And the way the mixture for the ammunition works and stuff like that, in order to get an idea of how far you should actually be able to use a flamethrower from. And
That's
I don't remember the exact yardages, but perhaps you do?
Yes, actually, according to the old training films that they made in the 1940s, a backpack-style flamethrower had a range of anywhere between 35 and 50 yards. And the main determining factor was the fuel mixture.
How thick or thin it was.
How thick or thin it was. So a thicker fuel mixture would have a tighter stream and would travel a little further, whereas a thinner fuel mixture would be a little bit more billowy and would travel not quite so far.
Yeah.
But anyway, nearly, like over 80 years ago, probably nearly 100 years ago, flamethrowers were invented. And they actually had, I believe we also did some reading of articles, and even pre-World War II, they had prototype flamethrowers that could shoot fire 35 or 40 yards.
Yep.
So what we did is we wanted to make some adjustments to our flamers in Fallout 4 to make them behave kind of the way that flamethrowers in real life, at least 80 or to 100 years ago, behaved.
Yep.
So I don't know what they would be like now, because probably technology is better now than it was in World War II. But anyway, we wanted to at least be able to live up to that standard. So we're going to do some more test shots here with our flamers, and this time with the mod activated. And we're going to do without the extended barrel first. And I just wanted to show as well with our flamer, this is something that I did. Mostly Rec V5X figured out how to adjust the ranges on the nozzles and that kind of thing. But what I did was I added a little bit of fire damage to flamers as well. So you'll notice that the energy damage is basically unchanged, but now there is an element of fire damage as well, which makes this weapon comparable with, like for straight up damage wise, an automatic combat rifle.
Yeah.
Or an assault rifle. Except, of course, that those two guns have much longer ranges than this does. But anyway, we're going to shoot at the first panel there, and this is at 35 yards. Okay, and we don't quite have enough range to get there, but we'll move a little bit closer. So it looks as though probably, what is that, 1, 2... say 3 blocks closer, so
9 yards closer,
roughly 24-25 yards without the extended barrel.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so we can comfortably reach without the extended barrel that far. And I believe we also fixed the compression nozzle and the vaporizing nozzle, so that your performance would be roughly the same as far as range goes.
That's right, because range is no longer determined by the nozzle, it's determined by the barrel.
That's right. So when we switch over to the extended flamer now, and go back to about 35 yards, well, now we can reach there. And I think we played around with this when we were actually making it, and I think that the furthest, absolutely furthest that we can reach that wall with the extended barrel is roughly just under 40 yards, right? And by the way, Rec V5X also figured out how to adjust the speed at which your flame leaves the end of the nozzle. And you'll notice that it's not nearly as billowy and cloudy now. It's much more of a focused stream, because we saw what the stream of fire coming out of a flamethrower looks like in some of those, World War II training films.
In fact, some of them were even thinner than that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to get the speed of the projectile correct.
Yeah.
Because they come out really fast. Like, you can't really move out of the way easily of a flamethrower.
Yeah. And the vanilla version of it was really very billowy. It was almost like a cloud of flame leaving. And what we wanted to do is try to get pretty much a stream of fire leaving, right?
Yeah.
And so, Rec V5X figured out which parameter to change to actually make it look like a stream coming out of the end of the barrel. So anyway, that's pretty much what our mod does. And with the addition of fire damage as well, it doesn't literally look like a lot of damage, but oddly enough, even though fire damage is in the files, in the game files, they don't use it. And there's also fire resistance in the game files, which they also do not use. So most enemies, including yourself,
will not have
fire resistance,
which makes this a much higher damage weapon than it looks.
Yes, this is a very deadly weapon now. It basically is it can compete with some of the upper echelon weapons at close range from 35 yards and in. Right, because fire damage can be very deadly. And we also, while we were at it, we played around with the cryolator and the plasma thrower receiver for plasma guns.
Because they had similar range problems.
Yes. And now you can see the marks on the wall with the plasma gun at 35 yards, and I think the plasma gun has a slightly shorter maximum range than the flamer does.
Yeah.
However, that varies depending on whether or not your plasma gun is a rifle or a pistol, because gunslingers can actually get extended range on pistols, which this is a pistol version, whereas the rifle version does not get an extended range.
Kind of a funny...
Due to perks.
Funny little quirk.
Yeah, it's odd, but that's how it is. And then the cryolator as well had range issues, but now, as you can see, the cryolator is going to be a somewhat effective weapon all the way out at 35 yards.
Yeah.
So what it did is it basically tightened up the streams on these weapons and made them more effective at longer ranges. Because if a mythical Deathclaw is charging me, I don't want to not be able to start shooting it until it's within 4 strides of me. Okay? I want to be able to start shooting it while it's that far away.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have these wonderful exotic weapons in the game, and then they went and they nerfed them to the point where they're not good for anything, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, and probably not to you either.
No, but it also gives, buffing them like this, just gives a little bit more variety to gameplay as well.
Yeah, and it keeps the vanilla feel too, because we're not inventing a brand new weapon or introducing new meshes or textures into the game or anything like that. We're basically just modifying the existing weapons so that people can use them effectively, because what I found is that in my gameplay in this game is I used to download a lot of modded weapons, and I rarely ever used any of the vanilla weapons anymore because most of them were garbage basically, and I was using modded weapons almost exclusively. And what I found though was that it kind of lost out on a bit of the lore friendliness.
Yeah.
Because the idea being that you know, these weapons, there's nothing wrong with the design of them, and with a lot of them there's nothing wrong even with the damage that they inflict.
It's just certain properties like just, range are insufficient.
That's right. And by the way, I also made another small addition here, if I can find a Molotov cocktail, and I added a little bit of fire damage to Molotov cocktails as well.
Yep.
And oddly enough, they made Molotov cocktails in this game explode like a grenade. Okay, that's just how they are. So you suffer impact damage as well as, you know, like, you know, and actually it's kind of weird. You suffer impact damage like a grenade as opposed to fire damage. And we actually saw films on how Molotov cocktails actually work too. And they don't go boom and explode like a grenade. They actually, basically, the bottle that the fuel or accelerant is in shatters, and then the burning material just sticks to whatever surface it hit and continues to burn.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I don't know how to make Molotov cocktails behave that way. But, you know, as a reasonable substitute, we decided to basically make Molotov cocktails a little bit more powerful and give them some actual fire damage.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to show in this video. So I am Sandman 99.
And I'm Rec V5. Have a good one.
Until next time.